mentioned what vulnerability, right? What specifically about vulnerability? Is there anything specific or just general or what?
I don't understand it.
Okay.
How do I get it?
Vulnerability. Because it's such a broad topic in some ways. To me it is, because there's so many aspects to it. Yeah, there's neediness and there's vulnerability for men. And most men associate neediness with vulnerability. And they're two different things completely. Neediness is more of a victim consciousness, and vulnerability, actual vulnerability, is strength. And it equates to confidence. But we get those two mixed up all the time. And the line seems so fine the first time you actually practice vulnerability that you would swear you're being needy. Who's had the experience of practicing or trying being vulnerable with a woman, because you were told, you know, women like vulnerable men. What happened there? What do you think really happened there? What did you say? Can somebody remember exactly what they said? So for the people in the back of the room that might not have heard it, it was him asking, or her asking, saying that I can't tell you that I love you enough. And him saying, yeah, you can. And then later in that day going, so do you love me? And her going, there we go again with that. So what does that feel like to you guys? Does that feel needy or does that feel vulnerable?
Needy.
Needy, okay. It's needy because you're asking for something from the other person. Exactly. And you might for a little bit as we work it out. And that's how we learn. Because in here, this is the place to do it. You come across very confident, but you're covering up a broken heart. And so when you get deeper into a relationship, you're there for a while, the broken heart starts to come out because you can only put on the shell for so long. That's why we got to get you beneath it to develop real confidence. So the neediness comes in asking for something in return. Do you love me? Asking every day, do you love me? Can be a very needy thing to do. Please give me validation. Please tell me you love me. Please give me assurance that you're not going to leave me. If you keep doing it once in a while, that's okay. But if you do that all the time, huh? Well, you might have been doing it in different ways.
Probably. Yeah.
In subtle ways that you weren't recognizing.
Yeah.
In little ways you were looking at her and you'd say, I love you, and look at her and she could feel you polling for that response rather than just giving her I love you and letting it be and stepping back. That neediness drives them away. And now I had an experience, to give you an example of this, I'd been exactly the way you were in all my relationships. When we broke up, it'd be like, can we work this out? We can work it out. I love you so much. I'm going to miss you. But that's not actually love, is it? That's addiction. If I have all this pain and I'm trying to resolve this pain and I call that love, I wouldn't be in this much pain over losing you or if I didn't love you. That's not true. That's addiction. Okay? Love true love has no real opposite like that. It's a sense of I love you, and I can love you. If I really loved you, I would love you whether you were with me or not. I'd love you whether I never saw you again or not, whether you needed to move on or not. I might not like it, but I would love you anyways. I'd appreciate you anyways. You may do something terrible. Maybe you're my child, let's say, and you do something bad to me, and maybe I have to take a step back because there's this abusive period maybe going on, right? Child's being overreactive in life, doing bad stuff, and I have to step back from that. But that doesn't stop me from loving the person. I can love from more of a distance now. And a lot of people go from love to hate. So were they really loving the person if they can go from love to hate like that easy? Or were they addicted? Was there you see what I mean? There's like this energy of attachment. Like, I need you to be a certain way for me to be happy. That's what codependence is. That's covert contracts. So true vulnerability is really, as a man, is giving your gift, being honest, being willing to feel pain, being willing to feel hurt, being willing to lose the girl, and not asking for anything in return. And in that, there's a lot of strength. So the first time I did this, I was actually coached into it by another coach. And there was a girl that I cared for a lot. We broke up. We'd been broken up for a little while. We were together for 2 or 3 months. It was the worst breakup of my life because I was so insecure at the time. I only knew how to be needy. And so he told me, he said, what you got to do is you got to go to her and you got to tell her how you feel and ask for nothing in return. Don't try to say, please, let's get back together. Let's work this out. Don't say any of that. Just give her your honest feeling and then step back and give it as a gift. This is what I really feel. I'm giving it as a gift. And let her decide. And if she doesn't respond, walk away. She's not right for you. And yeah, you'll deal with the pain, but that's life. That's you growing. That's your confidence growing. That's you being real. But you got to be real. You can't fake it, right? So I did this and I was terrified. And I went to where she was working. She was getting off work. It was late at night. It was at she was a musician. So it was late at night. She'd been playing a show. And I met her inside there, and she was really nervous because, you know, we'd broken up not too long ago, and we were kind of bouncing around, and I was being really nervous, and I was like inside, and I'm like, am I going to do this? Am I not going to do this? Am I going to do this? Am I not going to do this? And I was like kind of freaking out inside. And I said, okay, I'm going to go for it. To me, in my mind, it was going to turn out exactly the same as every other time. I did not think this was going to work. But I said, I'm just going to try it. I'm going to surrender to the coaching. So I walked up to her, and I said, I want to talk to you really quick as we were walking out to her car. And she's like, she was all racy and I'm busy, and then I get in her car. And then I said, no, wait a minute. I looked at her, I said, I want to tell you something. And she goes, oh. And you saw the light bulb go on. Really? And then she turns off her car because she just started it. Turns, looks at me and goes, what? Right in my eyes, dead, solid tension, everything. And that's when I knew, okay, now it's on. Now I have to say something, right? Now I'm in the tension with her. I got her attention. So she was curious now. And I'm going to have to paraphrase because I can't remember the exact words. But I said something to the effect of, I'm moving away soon, because I was. And I don't know if I'm ever going to see you again. But I care about you. And if this can be worked out, I want to work it out. And if it can't, that's all right too. But I'm not going to leave without telling you how I feel. How much I really care about you, and how much you really mean to me. And I just kind of shut up right there. And I think there was a little more said, I don't remember, but I shut up right there. And then I said, and if you don't feel the same way, I'll deal with it. I'll handle it. And then I finished with, but I'm not going to leave without at least telling you how I feel. And then I stepped back, assuming this was going to go completely wrong, and it went the other direction. She suddenly leaned in, she started talking to me, we sat down behind her car on the curb, we talked for like 45 minutes. And there was this deep connected bubble, and it was beautiful. And can you see that in that I wasn't asking for anything in return? I was just expressing exactly what I feel, and I was being honest. And I was willing to have her say no, tell me to get lost, tell me to fuck off, whatever she wanted to say. And I wasn't going to get into a fight over it. I had already decided I wasn't going to fight with her, argue with her, or try to convince her. Remember I said earlier today, convincing doesn't work? And it was amazing. And I always remember that. It like stuck in my head how that went, and all the and then I kind of flashed back to all the opportunities I missed where I either got needy or I walled off. And that seemed to be what I was doing. I was either getting really needy or walling off, calling it vulnerability. Now, if you look at what I did there, I went into a very scary place with emotion, right? At the time, it was a very scary place. I can't elicit the amount of emotion I had at that time. It was really a lot. And I went to a very scary place, and by facing all that emotion, by dealing with all that emotion and grounding it and not asking for her to fix it, did I not build more confidence? I built a reference in my mind about life, about ability to face more emotion, to go deeper, and to stay connected. Men think they can't cry, and that women get turned off. And that's actually true, because most of the time when men cry, they're being victim. But if you actually cry and own that strength, and yeah, I'm crying, I'm a man, and this is what I'm dealing with, and I'm going to face it, it can be very attractive. So I think Brene Brown does a talk on vulnerability. It's one of the best TED Talks I've ever seen. But she says this about men don't have they aren't given permission to be weak or to have needs, and that's actually not true. She corrected it later in something else and said that as she did more work with men, she realized that wasn't true. That's the perception. That it can be very sexy if you actually do it from that place of strength. Whereas you can be terrified, you can be scared, but you show up anyways, and you're just not needy in your fear. You're not needy in your needs.
Yeah.
You can ask for your needs, but you don't want to be needy in it. Does this connect to everybody? Okay. Any last questions? We need to get to work, so any last questions? And we can talk more too, but you get the idea, right? Okay. Okay, cool. And so when you guys are attacking yourselves, and a lot of you do, you do that. And when you're beating yourselves up inside, you do that. And tearing yourselves, you're avoiding some vulnerability. When you're saying, yeah, I'm a piece, I fucked that up again, I fucked it, you're just getting angry at yourself. You're reacting to something you feel like a hurt or a sadness or something deep down inside, and you don't want to feel, and so you're going to this attack mode. If you listen to the words and you go beneath them, it's probably going to feel like shit. That's the vulnerability. But as you process that vulnerability within yourself, your confidence in your self-love starts to rise. That depth of pain starts to turn into self-love. That depth of pain starts to turn into self-esteem. And it's a fine line, because it's easy to start going into it and then start dramatizing it and it won't change, or wallowing in it and it won't change. That's another way. So you got to keep playing with it, and then when you get it right, you'll start feeling yourself getting a little lighter and a little lighter as you go deeper and deeper and deeper. And every time you get a little lighter, you're growing out of it. You're getting a little healthier. You're growing, waking up a little bit more. And this is exactly how you're going to change your attitude towards growth and your attitude towards life. Is you're going to have to face these parts of you that are vulnerable underneath the stubbornness, the anger, the frustration that you don't want to feel, and that will change the way you relate to life. You have to want it first, then you have to choose it. And choice means you're stepping in and taking action, even if it's internal. Going into your internal world deeper. Okay?
Is there a simple way to describe the attitude under that?
Toward motivation. Away from motivation is fear-based, right? I'm afraid. I'm doing this because I'm afraid. I don't want to lose 10 lei, so I'm going to do it, right? We talked about that. And, I don't want to lose $10 is basically what we're saying. So, I don't want my friends to give me shit. Then there's a challenge. I'm going to compete with, we're going to bet $10, 10 lei, that we're going to accomplish X, right? And then there's toward. Toward is when you really begin to love the idea of growing something. Like you're excited. I see this a lot in Richard Branson's attitude. Love the idea of growing Virgin, Virgin label, right? And the brand. And I love the idea of growing a business. I love the idea of doing X, like growing myself. When you reach that point where you appreciate the growth more than you're analyzing why something didn't work, you're going to grow a lot easier. George Washington Carver said, love, he said, they were talking about flowers, right? Because he figured out all the medicinal uses for flowers, tons of them. And they said, how did you figure all this out? And he says, it's easy. You love the flower so much, it reveals all its secrets. What he's saying there is you get into this state of appreciation and a love for the very thing you're learning, so much so that your mind just gives you ideas, solutions. Through the curiosity and through the appreciation, all kinds of ideas come up, realizations come to you. You're not focusing on why this didn't work. When something fails, you get curious and you appreciate the failure because it's going to teach you something, and then you grow out of that. And when something else fails, you appreciate that, and you're moving through obstacles really fast because you're in this higher state of emotion in relation to the problem. Most people are in these lower states of emotion in relation to the problem. They're in pain. And then they hit a roadblock. They go out to say hi to some girls, and some girls is mean to them, and then the rest of the night they're like, "Oh, I'm a piece of shit." But what somebody who has this attitude does is says, "Awesome! I just learned something." I learned Who knows? It might have been in his tonality, or say, you know, you were a little rude in the way we walked up, and they come to the realization, yeah, I was, you know, and I just learned something awesome. I'm going to try doing this, and then boom, the next girl's really nice to him. Or maybe they realized that, you know what, that girl was in a bad mood, and I could have seen it walking up, and I didn't even notice it because I was racing in my head. And if I just paid attention, I could have saw something happened to her. She was having a bad day. And a lot of you guys do that. You guys are like scared and you're heavy, and you go to, I say, go ask some girl the time. Let's just start with that because you're scared to even talk to girls. And you walk up to the girl that's the heaviest and moodiest walking down the street. There'll be this like happy girl, and you walk over and talk to her. And you do that because she most matches where you're at in that moment. And the interaction is going to end like that. And subconsciously you know that because you don't want to really be in an interaction. And since your subconscious is creating your reality all the time, you're picking the most unavailable women in the room, because they most match your reality of the world. If you got one that was available, you run away because it doesn't match your reality, right? Did that not happen? Yeah. and you get one that likes you, and it's like, I can only handle so much of this, I'm gone. And then they're like, where'd he go? He was a cool guy. And we've seen that a bunch of times too. Where you guys literally you walk back over and you're like, yeah, she didn't like me. And you could tell, she's like, where did he go? Why did he walk away? And then turn you back around. Dave's done that. I remember he did it with Mike, right? Where you at? Yeah, he did it with you how many times that night? We turned you back to talk to the girl because you kept trying to turn away from her. And she wanted to talk to you. Yeah. And you just turn them back around. You would turn around, Dave would turn you back around, and until you got used to it. That was funny. So that happens. Because we're ultimately vibration, right? And if our vibration's here and their vibration's here, they don't match. That's why you got to bring your vibration up. But if you try to fake bringing your vibration up, it's not going to work either. Now it's all fake. It's state pumped. So we have to go down, sometimes deeper, into the heaviness to dissolve whatever's down there to come back up to get a matching vibration. And that's what this week's about. No, the vulnerability takes you down through it. The more vulnerable you're willing to be, the faster you go through that process back up to this matching vibration. Okay? I think that's good for now. You guys good?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Let's get started. I had to develop my masculinity. I wasn't born with it. A lot of men that are naturally masculine are born with strong masculine role models. They do a lot of stuff to develop their masculinity as they grow up also. A byproduct of having a strong masculine role model. You want to go out and have some fun, maybe you never have in your life, and you're using these teachings to learn how to meet women, then go out and date, go out and explore. We do have one rule though, be honest. You see, honesty is an aphrodisiac. Zamparion said that years ago, and it is so true.